Y'all being here with us today. You are in for a treat. It is a free-for-all Friday on the radio program. You get two shows, two for the price of one today, and the behind-the-scenes live stream. So we have a live local show that happens 9 to 10 Eastern here in Grand Rapids and West Michigan News Radio with 1300 1069 FM. It's called West Michigan Live. You'll do that with me, Justin Barclay. And then immediately, if not sooner, following the after show is the after show. So it's the show after the show. That's why we call it that. Pretty creative, right? So anyway, we're about to go live on the radio. Just wanted to give you the heads up on that. It's hoodie weather today. Got the hoodie out. I need new conspiracy theories. All of mine have come true. Hoodies in various different colors and various different messages and whatnot on them. So lots to grab there. We appreciate you grabbing them in the store, justinbarclay.com. There is a hoodie sale too. And I think I may have forgotten to take the code down. So it still may still be up for you in case you want to get $10 off a hoodie. Code word fall. All right, folks, live on the air here in just moments. Stand by.
At 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on Wood Radio.
Hey, good morning, folks. What a beautiful day in store. The sun is shining. A little cooler. Fall is officially here. That's why I have my hoodie on this morning. Yeah, I know. It's weird how that works, but out of the blue, the weather just lines right up with fall. It's just something, folks. We got a lot of ground to cover this morning, but not only do we have stories that you're going to want to hear, it's also a day where you might even want to feel like you want to participate. It's Free for All Friday.
News, weather, and traffic. Stories of the day. We're talking about what matters most in West Michigan and beyond. This is the Big Three. Now today's Big Three.
And the stories that matter most, you'll be talking about these around the water cooler, the dinner table, no matter where you are. These are those stories Our good friends at Heartland Home Mortgage making it possible today. You know, if you want to save some money, maybe put a little bit more dough back in your wallet so you can afford some of the things that are happening right now. You know, they're coming at you from every angle. Everything that costs to gas to groceries has gone through the roof. Heartland's helping folks in this time right now with some creative ways of looking at things. You can do that today, too, if you want to give them a call. 616-974-9105. Reach out to Dave Galloway and the team at hhmlending.com for the latest.
Number 1.
Donald Trump Jr. in West Michigan today to help rally for Republican candidates. Be joining Tudor Dixon, running for governor, attorney general candidate Matt DePerno, Secretary of State candidate Christina Caramo will join us just moments here on the show today. And John Gibbs, who's running for Congress in Michigan's 3rd District, a rally in Muskegon today at the Barclay Place Event Center. And yes, I'll be taking a little bit for parking on every single one of those, but it's okay. I have nothing to do with it. But something tells me now I kind of wish I did. Doors open at 3:30 today. The rally set to take place and be a big one if you'd like to come out and see all those folks and help support this afternoon. Folks looking forward to it. Now, that's just a week before that President Trump will be here. Right next week, coming to town on the other side of the state. An attorney for several of the Oxford families revealing new evidence in the case against the school, saying they were negligent for not intervening before the tragedy happened November 30th. Last year, Vince Johnson, who represents the families of Tate Meyer and Justin Schilling, said that sworn depositions revealed that the school had several indications of the killer's troubling mindset leading up to the attack. Johnson and the family said they're adamant this could have been avoided. What's fascinating about this is that we just heard as early as this week from Tudor Dixon, Republican candidate for governor, who's running against Gretchen Whitmer, saying that Whitmer won't answer these questions, but there's an environment inside the schools where they're keeping things from the parents. There's policies in place where parents are left in the dark on troubling situations, on mental health of these kids, on a variety of different issues. And we've seen that result in suicides and possibly even the Oxford shooting in this case. And folks, you putting 2 to 2 together there, it adds up to a dangerous, disastrous recipe.
Number 3.
Fauci admits it. He's admitting it. Yep, folks, he said he knew the whole time. This is a bit of a Rona report. I can play the music, I think. On the high priest to health himself, St. Anthony of Wuhan, the patron saint of pandemic and politics, Mr. Booster, Tony Fauci. You know, it would be problematic if the truth came out. You know, you wouldn't like it. You're not going to like what you hear. Oh, lay it on us. Just give me a break. Lay it on us, Fauci. You dirty rat. Here's what we found out. He admitted it. In fact, he said sometimes when you do draconian things. Oh, now he's admitting these things that were done were draconian. I said, but I think they were life-saving at one point. Tell Gretchen Whitmer that sometimes when you do draconian things, it has collateral negative consequences. Fauci said about his COVID pandemic policy. Oh, collateral negative consequences on kids in schools, apparently. The lockdowns, collateral negative consequences on folks who had to close their businesses, lose their homes, lose their jobs. These are just collateral negative consequences, though. This is just, this is just the price you pay to, save lives, keep everybody healthy. You know what I mean? He's on his way out. But this apparently came from some sort of summit or seminar. Fox News reporting National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease Director Dr. Anthony Fauci admitted Wednesday And he knew the draconian COVID policies he pushed for would lead to collateral negative consequences for the economy and school children. How's the economy doing right now? Dr. Death. Did he know all this was coming in? It was okay. Everything was fine. I don't think that folks struggling to pay, decide whether or not they're going to put gas in their car, food on their tables for their families. I don't think those are collateral negative consequences that are just nothing to sneeze at. It's a big deal. He knew it was coming the whole time, and yet they persisted. Do you think maybe they had some collateral negative consequences in the actual political ramifications? In other words, do you think politically there were some collateral negative consequences? Do you think maybe elections were swayed? I'll be a good boy and say it that way. Do you think maybe elections were swayed because of these collateral negative consequences? You know, hey, you got a great economy there. Be a shame if anything happened to it. Fauci's comments coming during day one of the Atlantic Festival, a 3-day convention put on by the media outlet The Atlantic, featuring speeches and interviews from prominent members of the media. This is where they always slip up. This is where Biden was out, not this particular comment, but it's things like this, where they think they're talking to their colleagues and they're saying things that people will never hear. You know, the regular folk, the peasants like me and you. Biden was the one who admitted in front of a group of very similar people, I think that might have been Council on Foreign Relations, but he admitted, yeah, I took the $1 billion. I told them that they couldn't have that loan unless they pulled the guy that was investigating the corruption in the Ukraine. Now we have a war in Ukraine. That's also, remember, it's Putin. It's Putin that's driving up prices. Not the war in Ukraine, not the corruption, not him interfering in that back. He's admitted this, by the way. It's on tape. Admitted it, the quid pro quo, the same thing that they want to impeach Trump for. Quid pro quo. Remember the perfect phone call? So anyway, he's admitted it at this big festival. He spoke with the Atlantic editor Ross Anderson in front of a live audience about the experiences as the leading medical profession during the pandemic. In one segment of his talk, the doctor spoke about his guidance in instituting draconian pandemic guidance, knowing full well there would be, quote, collateral damage stemming from it. Collateral damage. Before making his central point, Fauci first blamed the divisiveness of social media for turning every piece of his guidance during the pandemic into a confusing, controversial statement. Oh, so it's social media that it wasn't like the New York Times. It wasn't on the Washington Post. It wasn't, it was social media that did this. And it wasn't the fact that you all were so confused. It wasn't the fact that your intent was to confuse people, cause fear, and stoke division. That wasn't it at all. Must have just been social media. That must have been the problem. He then justified his harsh COVID guidance, including pushing the federal government to mandate lockdowns, masking, and later jabs because, quote, hospitals were being overrun. We saw how that was handled. We saw what happened inside those hospitals. We now know the truth. And it's coming out little by little each day. A little bit more here and there. Fauci admitted he knew. Now, if you go and you type into Twitter in the search bar, Fauci knew, it's an education. Because there's not video of this particular thing. I was looking for it earlier today, but no, I didn't find out. What I did find is Fauci knew. Fauci knew. Fauci knew when he took his mask off in front of the camera, or when the cameras were done rolling there in Congress. Remember when everybody else had to wear a mask? He took his off for a moment. The one that his aunt must have sewn together with his favorite sports team, the Senators, is that it? The Washington, the baseball team? Yeah, anyway, he took the mask. You remember when he took the mask off? Fauci must have known. Oh, he knew. He knew the whole time. You and I, any of us that ask questions or question any of this situation, no, we're the crazy conspiracy theorists. But Fauci and the rest of them, see, they're the experts. We're supposed to trust them. Hmm, he almost took it all the way off. You know what? Let me just Fauci knew. He knew all along. He knew. The FDA knew it. The CDC knew it. Fauci knew it. Piece after piece. If you go and look at what is posted, they knew. They've known this whole time. You remember this clip? Oh, really? 2017, he warned. It just, it's interesting stuff, isn't it? And the fact that they knew that there would be, as he mentions now, negative collateral issues. They knew about the mask. They knew the jabs weren't effective. They knew all of these things ahead of time. Dr. Birx admitted it in her book, The Scarf Queen, admitted it. Just type in Fauci knew and see what you come up in. Oh, what about natural immunity? That's another good one. Natural immunity. We weren't allowed to. That was just crazy conspiracy theory. In other words, people had already gotten the virus and recovered and did fine, that natural immunity. No, they were forced to go out and get an experimental. They were mandated to go out and get a jab. And Fauci knew that all along natural immunity was superior. No. There you have it, folks. He knew. He knew the whole time. Fauci knew. Like all of it. I think that was from like 2012, that particular video. It goes way back. So another piece, no surprise, he knew. They all knew. Will they ever be held accountable?
Have something to say? Say it here.
Come on, people!
Are they insane?
This is America!
It's Free for All Friday. Talk to Justin now. 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on Wood Radio.
We'll take your calls today. Talk to you coming up. Speaking of knowing that they did the wrong thing. Yeah, it turns out Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson may have broken the law again. That's according to the latest story. We'll get to that. Christina Carano, who's running for that position here in Michigan, we'll break it down piece by piece. She joins us coming up at 9:35 this morning. Appreciate y'all being here with us.
Informative, engaging. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Hey, West Michigan, Chris Potter.
JW here.
We're managers at Kia Grand Rapids North, and we want to put dreams in your driveway at Kia Grand Rapids North.
Our team. All right, folks. I got the sound thing. I'm not sure why, but occasionally we have those issues. So I will attempt to fix that. All right, let me say good morning to a few folks who are listening this morning. Let me Say good morning. Good morning. Hey, Matt, good to see you. We missed you last night. We had a little bit of a get together over on Locals, and I was thinking, man, I bet Matt would like to be here, but I bet he's up early. And so we completely missed it. But that's okay. Go back and watch it later. You can. It's a good one. If you haven't joined us over on Locals yet, lots of folks doing so. Deanne became a supporter last night. Randy became a supporter, both annual supporters, too. Big congratulations to those folks. Definitely helps us move the needle. It's free to join over on Locals. You can go to justinbarclay.com/locals. It's free to join there. You can join the festivities, join the fun. But if you'd like to become a supporter, you can as well. Lots of good stuff over in Locals. In fact, there's what I'm talking about, the fireside chat from last night. It is an app. You can download it, but you can also just simply pull it up on your browser. Stand by, folks. Back on the air. Join the program at any time, 616-774-2424. Those are the numbers to dial in. Join the conversation. Democrat lawmaker in Florida suing Republican Governor Ron DeSantis to stop him from transporting migrants. That's folks who are here illegally across the border, arguing last week's flights to Martha's Vineyards violated state law. I don't know how that's possible. State Senator Jason Pizzo, a Democrat from Miami, says DeSantis illegally misspent taxpayer dollars flying about 50 migrants from, he says, San Antonio to Massachusetts, but that's not what exactly happened. They were flown to Florida by the government, and then DeSantis flew them to Massachusetts from Florida. You're allowed to do whatever you'd like to do in your state, and none of them were forced or detained. They were offered. Would you like to go to Martha's Vineyard? It's a very nice place. What about you? Would you turn down a free trip to Martha's Vineyard? No, of course not. It's really interesting stuff, but they have a problem with this. DeSantis has vowed to transport more to the border or from the border to different places like Martha's Vineyard. It's just the beginning. $12 million. It was paid for with $12 million allocated in the state budget. So he says, we're going to use every penny. Well, yes, because they have voted on it. They've already planned this in the budget. It is there. And why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? Very interesting stuff when we look at the border. We talked about it yesterday and how bad things are. We'll get into that a little bit later on today. But speaking of breaking the law, Jocelyn Benson accused of it again. The latest story, breaking the law. It's no surprise. First, we know a judge ruled she broke the law when she said that the local clerks didn't have to scrutinize absentee ballots and the signatures that were on them during 2020. Part of the reason we're in this mess to begin with is all the things, the shenanigans that were pulled. These were things that weren't passed laws by legislatures in states all across the country. These were things that were just proclamations. They were executive orders, things of that nature. Proclamations by secretaries of state, et cetera, folks like that who were just doing whatever they could do and get away with because it was a pandemic after all. That was, can't blame anybody. It was a pandemic. We just did what we had to do, right? We'll let you join the program at any time. You can use that talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app. Just click that microphone button next to the play button, and you can sound off. Rant, rave, ask questions. We'll give you answers. Coming up after this, Christina Caramo joins us. All right, folks. Let me check our audio on something real quick. Doug, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Justin. Can you hear me?
I can.
All right.
How about the rest of the folks there? Who do you got with you?
Well, go ahead and introduce.
Yeah, Robert Cribbs. I met you Saturday night at GR Church.
Good to see you, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing just fine, sir. Yourself?
Pretty good. So that microphone, Doug, if you could position it so like, is there going to be one more person with you? Or?
Yeah, but it's I can turn up the volume. Is that better?
Yeah, you're just going to be more loud than the rest of them because you've got a unidirectional microphone.
Well, I'll turn it. I'll turn it to
But we
the.
expect that, Coach.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll turn it. I can do that. So I'll control
Perfect.
it. Go ahead and say something, Holly.
Yeah, morning, Justin. And I'm Holly DeBoer.
Hey, Holly, how are you?
Great.
Good to talk to you too. Now, if you are going to turn it and move it like while we're talking, Doug, it's going to make noise. So
Okay.
I will just decide.
How about that? I'll just step back a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. Just decide where you guys want to be on the microphone, and then we'll leave it with that. But that should be good. We'll test it again before we go back on. Before we go back on the air, I got the.
Does that work there for me?
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good. All right, guys, I'll be right back with you. We'll probably come to you around 9:45 or so. I'll be right back with you if you don't mind.
All right. Thanks, Justin.
Good deal. All right, what's happening tomorrow? Patsy said you got to go watch my video. By the way, a lot of people talking about that. Christina, good morning.
Hey, Justin.
I
Phone
cannot hear you.
will not but another interview.
There you are. Now I
Scramble.
got you. Hey, how are you? You looking good, sounding good?
Yeah, I mean, I guess on my face, but we'll work with it. Nature of interviews now. It's okay.
You're cutting out just a little bit, Christina.
Yeah.
Can you just refresh? It looks like you're on your phone, maybe. Your signal looks good, but maybe you could just refresh that, refresh that page.
Okay, let me try.
I'll say good morning to the as well. We're doing that. Stop PC, Gritter Dunn, Blue Angel, Kimmy D. Good morning, Ben, Roxanne, Charmaine, Pinky, 1769 Gary, and Lady Blah Blah. All right, let me say Christina's back. Christina.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, but
Can
there's.
you hear me, Justin?
There we go. Okay, so give me a countdown from like 10 to 1.
10, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2.
Yeah, it's cutting out like every other number on you for some reason, and I'm not sure. Is this what you normally use, this particular phone, or is it?
Oh, I can if you give me 5 minutes, I typically use my computer, but I was interviews because I had another interview on the so I had to just grab this a couple minutes. I can grab my computer.
Yeah, we've got about 3-4 minutes here, so go ahead and try that. We'll see
All
if
right,
we
give
can
me
get that going.
a moment.
All right. Technical issues. We'll have her on the phone if we can't fix our technical issues. Have no fear. All right. I don't think I said good morning to the folks on Getter yet. Good morning, Getters. Mr. Deplorable. R. Reagan, Josh Renz, Romad, Free at Heart, Alex, Adiv. Good to see you, Terry. Leafy Beast. What a name. From Fruitland. Love it. I love it. Very good. Very good. In Michigan, it's hoodie season. Fall is here. If you want to grab one, they're on sale right now. Save $10, about $10 on each one. I need new conspiracy theories and sometimes more too, actually. Just use code word FALL. Code word FALL over at justinbarclay.com. You'll see we've got the store, we got new tees, all kinds of hoodies. And if there's a hoodie that you'd like to see that you haven't seen yet, let me know, because I will get that done for you. But you've got the One Nation Under God hoodie, which is very popular. We got different colors too, but I just like the way the black looks. So that's the way I put those up. But we've got, various different colors for these too we can give you. We've got the Donkey Pox hoodie. Do I need new conspiracy theories? All of mine to come true. The one that I'm wearing today. God wins, and let's go, Brandon, amongst others. But if there's something else that you'd like to see, like a unredacted or something like that, you can let me know, and maybe we'll try and make one for you. The coupon to use at checkout is fall. You'll save $10 on every hoodie. Coupon code fall. Stand by. Fall in Texas, Jesse says, still in the 90s. Any full zip, Phyllis? Well, tell me what you'd like to see, and we'll see if we can get them. Right now, we've just got these with the pockets in the front. But I'll see if we can find some for you guys. Good morning, Jennifer. How are you? Be brave. Ooh, I kind of like that. That's cool. That's a good idea. Is that one of those John Fetterman hoodies? Oh, John. That's a good one. We're trying to get Christina back on. In the meantime, let me give Joe, I'm going to give you a backup number. If we can't get Christina back on, I'm going to give you a backup number for her on the phone. So if you could please call her. Here we go, folks. Back on the air. Welcome in. It's News Radio 1300 and 1069 FM. Justin Barclay. Appreciate y'all being here with us. Of course, the conversation continues. She'll be in Muskegon with Donald Trump Jr. And, of course, the rest of the candidates today. There'll be Tudor Dixon running for governor, Attorney General Matt DePerno, John Gibbs running for Congress here in the 3rd District. He's going to be there as well, Muskegon. Barclays Center doors, I think, open at 3:30 for that rally there. Should be a fun time. And Christina Caramo running for Secretary of State there with us today as well. Appreciate it. Christina, how are you?
I am great, Justin. How are you?
Wonderful. It's another day, so we got another story about Jocelyn Benson breaking the law. It's like every day we got a new breaking news. I want to run this past you because I don't think people really understand how some of this works. And, of course, what's at the heart of this issue is the qualified voter file. Let's just make it as simple as we can and talk to me like I'm in 5th grade because, usually that's the best way to communicate with me anyway. But it seems to me that there's a problem with all these old names and even deceased people who've moved out of state somewhere in what's called the qualified voter file. And the folks in Lansing, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, she paid a third-party company who's got some questionable ties, it looks like, according to the article, to clean up this voter file that I'm using air quotes now because she used that, let's say, clean up. I don't know exactly that's what they did, but apparently a lawsuit is alleging now that she broke the law again when she did this.
You know, it's so funny, Justin. We actually are launching a series called Benson's Dirty Deeds. Just that gives you an indication of how consistently Benson has proven to be a criminal who's running our elections, which should scare everyone, irrespective of political affiliation. It's like this. For us to have a 104% voter registration rate. Clearly, we have some fraudulent registrations. But what's concerning is that what we're seeing across Michigan is this isn't just a case of the deceased people we see from the one lawsuit against her that she tried to get tossed out of court, when the plaintiffs are simply asking her to remove dead people from the voter registration database, which is something she doesn't want to do. That's clear. It's because she has illegal intent. There's no good reason to keep a deceased individual on the voter registration database. But I'll pause that for a minute to your point regarding this lawsuit. This entity she has brought on to manage our qualified voter files. She's sharing all types of sensitive information with this entity. Additionally, she is compelled via the contract with this group to send the names of all Michigan residents who are legally qualified to vote but are not registered to vote. Why would this organization need that information? Clearly, it's not a good intention, because their job is to simply maintain accuracy of the voter rolls. They don't need to know the names and private information of Michiganders who have just chosen, which they legally have a right to do, is to not register to vote. And so what we believe is going on is that this entity is used to bloat the voter rolls. So many folks have seen 2,000 mules. In order to get that phony ballot, you first have to have a fraudulent registration, because it's like this. Using the registration of a person who is legally allowed to be registered to vote to cast a phony ballot, you run the risk of being exposed. And actually, that's two crimes. It's identity theft and election fraud. And you run the risk of that other person coming and saying, hey, wait a minute, I didn't vote. But if you have a fraudulent registration, then it's easy to crank thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of illegal ballots and nobody knows. Additionally, speaking of that 104% voter registration rate, I've talked to multiple people where these are women. I talked to the husbands of women who are legally in our country, who are green card holders, and who have been registered to vote. And they did not register themselves to vote. When they went in to legally obtain a driver's license, the Secretary of State automatically registered these women to vote. How did they find out they were registered to vote? They received absentee ballot applications. So this is what's going on, and Jocelyn Benson to be teaming up with this organization, and I have tons of anecdotal accounts, Justice, of individuals who received absentee ballot applications for dead loved ones who never lived in their home. Women who live out of state, were former Michigan residents, are receiving absentee ballot applications in their maiden name, even though they're registered voters in other states. But here's the kicker, Justin. These women live in ERIC member states. And when we also look at these fraudulent registrations, like, you know, someone shared with me they received an absentee ballot application for a dead brother who never lived in that house. That brother also died in an ERIC member state. And you can clearly see how it's very easy for them to commit this conspiracy to bloat the voter rolls. And this is what it appears is going on. And this is a threat to our election system. It's a threat to our freedom, because individuals can then throw an election and your local clerk wouldn't know. And that's the other thing people need to understand about this. Your local clerk would not know this is going on. Unless you live in a township of about 50 people and your clerk knows everybody. You know, most cities, like where you live in Grand Rapids, where I live in Oakland County, my local clerk doesn't know everybody in the city. So they're not going to notice 50 or 60 extra fraudulent registrations as long as it's coming from the Secretary of State. Why would they think the Secretary of State would be complicit in voting the voter roll?
Christina, how do we clean this up? Christina Carrano's running for Secretary of State. The latest story, lawsuit alleging the Secretary of State Benson claiming she broke the law when she outsourced voter roll cleanup to a Democrat sort of leftist organization called ERIC. Tell us how we clean this up, how we get things back on track, because I know that it's not just Republicans, it's folks of all ilks. Whether you vote Democrat, Republican, you're an independent, you know you want your vote to count, and we've got to have free and fair elections. Otherwise, what do we have?
You know, to your point, Justin, you know, the leftists love to talk about ballot access only, as though that's the only element of our voting rights. Our voting rights consist of three elements. Ballot access, because what's an election that you can't access the ballot? It means nothing to me. So ballot access, ballot security. So when I vote, my absentee ballot or my ballot in general needs to be handled in a secure manner with absolute chain of custody. And the third component is stopping illegal ballots. Ballot access, ballot security is stopping illegal ballots. And the reason why stopping illegal ballots is so important, because that's voter nullification when you are casting an illegal ballot. To put it in a very simple explanation, if you've ever played sports, and then every time the one team, we're in football season, so every time your team scores a touchdown, the ref gives the other team an automatic 6 points. Each time. You can score 20 touchdowns. So for every touchdown you cast, the cat needs to make, the ref gives the other team 6 points automatically. at some point, it's nullifying all of your gains. So that's why allowing legal balance is such a problem. So to your question about how do we fix it, with the Secretary of State being keeper of the records, they have access to all our birth and death records. They manage the driver's license file. So all the key information, and let me add another point, the street index, which your local clerk manages, that street index helps them know exactly what house is where. Is this a residential property? Is this a commercial property? Is this a vacant lot? So not only do they know who's dead and who's alive, they know where each person lives, and they know if this person is attached to an actual residential address, vacant lot, or commercial property. So all the necessary pieces that will create an honest voter registration database is squarely within the purview of the Secretary of State. She doesn't need to rely on any other government agency. And if for whatever reason she needs some information from the Social Security Index regarding their death records, they can easily get that. So all the necessary puzzle pieces the Secretary of State needs to create an accurate voter registration database exists within her sole purview. The only reason why it's not happening is because she doesn't want to, is because she wants to corrupt the voter registration database. And what's so disgusting to me, Justin, is how I watch our media portray her like she's some kind of supermom hero. It is totally false. And it's not because I'm personally offended. My feelings, you can't get your feelings hurt in this business. But what people need to understand is that they're portraying her as this hero in order to cover up her crimes. That lets you know how entrenched the corruption truly is. There is no excuse to have this type of corrupted voter registration database, and it's an absolute attack on our liberty.
What do we do about it? I mean, obviously, voting you in here's a good start when folks head to the polls. But how do we get this cleaned up once and for all?
Electing me as your next Secretary of State. You know, I've talked to local clerks who've removed dead people and only to see these people added again. So that's the thing. The Secretary of State, without an honest Secretary of State, you cannot have an accurate voter roll because legally it is squarely within his or her purview, period, end of story. So if I'm not Michigan's next Secretary of State, there will be no accurate voter roll. It just won't happen. And then especially with the push of Prop 2, what they call promote the vote, where they're going to permanently submit a fraudulent and weak election in our state's constitution, you can forget about we the people having a voice again. This is how critical this election is. Never before in the history of America has the race for Secretary of State been so inextricably linked to our liberty. Never before. And now we need to wake up, and I need folks, these next 43 or 45 days, however many you have left, I forgot the number, I apologize, but we need everyone involved. We need all hands, all feet, active and ready to roll. Our children's liberty, our children's lives are on the line because this is the only way we the people have control over our government, either war or through elections, is how our country is controlled. We're blessed to live in a country where it's through elections, but we need to protect that system.
ChristinaKaramo.com, Christina with a K, Karamo with a K, Karamo.com, the website. Christina, before I let you go, Melissa in the comments on the chat here, I've registered as a Republican. She keeps sending me Democrat absentee applications. What can Melissa do here?
So in the state of Michigan, we do not register by party unless you're like a precinct delegate. They wouldn't. I mean, to put it this way, so like according to the system, if you will, they see me as an independent, which makes no sense. I've been a lifelong Republican. But in Michigan, when I say the system, there's like certain data centers or certain groups track our behavior to decide what they think our certain political leanings are. But the Secretary of State themselves, they don't register us by party. So I'm not sure why this person is receiving, Melissa is receiving Democratic information. I think that may be indicative of the issue with Eric. I don't know, so I don't want to say, but something may be going on, and I don't know. But some people even argue that we should register by party, but I know there's a counter argument. I don't want to get in the weeds of that. But in most states, they do register by party, but not in Michigan.
Fighting to take the state back, and one little step at a time. We have to do these things. It's so important. Get a yard sign, maybe go online and donate. Christina Karamo's website. I know that folks can keep up with you there. And then again, today is the rally happening at 3:30 today, I think, is when the doors open. You'll be there, Donald Trump Jr. in Muskegon, around the rest of the candidates as well. I know that you're in full push mode. President Trump will be here next week. Lots to look forward to.
Oh, it's going to be a great time, and we need everybody's support. If it's okay, I throw out there since we mentioned donations. The max is $7,150. So if someone is feeling so inclined, we would appreciate your help. We got to get my name and face out there because, as we just discussed, all these issues we complain about, and one of the things I would love to see, Justin, if it's okay, if I have a minute, Secretary of State actually has way too much power, way too much. Because if this one person can make and break our elections. Literally, they legally have the power to either make or break the election system. That type of power should not be in the hands of one person.
Yeah, I know a lot of folks would agree with that. It's time to have some big overhauls in this system. And we're going to take a look at it all. Christina Caramo, vote for her this November, and we'll get a better shot at that. The Freedom Roundup happening today as well with the Muskegon County GOP. Freedom Roundup, 6 to 9 p.m. at Barclay Place, Barclay Street in Muskegon. Want details about that? You can grab those over on my Facebook page as well as hers. We'll make sure we get them shared out to people. Christina, thank you for taking the time. Thanks for staying in the fight, and we appreciate you making sure that we're informed.
Thanks, Justin. God bless.
God bless. Yeah, lots to cover, folks. We'll continue that conversation right after this. Introduce you to some school board candidates you won't want to miss. Fighting for the kids. Next. Okay, let me grab our folks here. Doug, I appreciate you guys being patient and hanging on there. That segment went a little longer than we expected, but we'll probably have about 4 or 5 minutes when we come back. So just so you all know.
Yeah, I kind of figured that.
But you guys look good. You sound good. Everybody's here. And go ahead and introduce yourselves. We got, I know, Doug. We got Robert. We've got, and I'm sorry, Mr. DeBoer. What was your first name?
Holly.
Holly's here with us.
Holly, yeah.
And then Mr. Donovan, what's your first name?
Kevin Donovan.
Kevin. All right. So, folks who are watching the behind the scenes live stream, make sure you share this out. These guys are fighting behind the scenes. They've been fighting so strong and for the last, oh gosh, I guess it's been several years now, Doug, and we're going to talk about all that, how you guys got started. We'll give you guys a brief moment to kind of talk about what you're fighting for and how you guys are fighting together. When we go live back on the air here, probably about a minute from now. Okay.
Okay. All right. Good.
You got it. Stand by, folks. Back with them right after this. Doug, is there a website that I should share?
It's www.votefhps.com.
Votefhps.com.
Votefhps.com.
Got you guys up here then. Good deal. Thanks, guys. Hang on 1 second. Right back with you. We're going to be moving through it, folks. Watching the behind the scenes live stream. Don't go anywhere, though, because we've got the after show coming up. The show after the show. It's like drinking from a fire hose, isn't it? Every day. Never a dull moment. Here we go. Welcome back in. A jam-packed after show is coming up in just a moment. You can join us there behind the scenes at justinbarclay.com. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Getter, YouTube, all the usual places. Joining us now, we've been doing this, taking some time to talk to some of these folks running the local races. We got the folks, Forest Hills for Just Education are joining us now. Holly DeBoer, Kevin Donovan, Doug Lee, and Robert Cribbs, all together fighting for kids here in particularly the Forest Hills district. Their website, fhforjusteducation.org. Appreciate y'all being here with us today. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks, Justin.
Thanks for having us.
Well, I got to ask you, Doug, what was it, and I'll start with you, that got this thing started? What got the ball rolling? What made you guys decide? You're just ordinary folks who are doing extraordinary things. What made you decide to step up and get involved?
So during COVID, there was some parents got to see firsthand online what was being taught in the classrooms. And this was about beginning of COVID. And one of my customers at Jam and Bean asked me, "You need to go to a school board meeting," because I was probably one of the biggest advocates of our school district. I went to my first school board meeting and my mouth dropped open. And I just became more and more engaged. And one of the things early on is we would go to these school board meetings, and we've been nonstop now for over 15 months. The board doesn't listen to us. I mean, everything we talk about goes on deaf ears. So what we basically decided fairly long, years ago, the only way we're going to make the changes necessary to put parents back in control of their kids and education is to take over the board. And to do that, we needed to put 4 conservative candidates on our school board, where our school board has 7. There's 4 up for election in November. So us 4, if we all get elected, and that's the key part, to get the majority, because if we don't get the majority, it's the same old, same old. So that was our number one goal. And we, managed to do that. And we are actively in that marketplace. There's 13 people running. So it's flooded with names, which makes it extremely difficult, and you have to have a plan for us 4 to win. It just can't be by happenstance, because on the ballot, we don't have a party affiliation, and there's 13 people. So most people, especially the uninformed people, it's eeny, meeny, miny, mo. So we're just trying to build our brand out here and putting these 4 conservative candidates, and we're right here.
Holly DeBoer, I got to ask you, one of the folks here running with Forest Hills for Just Education. You've probably seen some of the things that have come out recently. Gubernatorial candidate Tudor Dixon holding that press conference earlier this week and sharing that it's time that parents, she was flaked by, I think, 40, 50 parents at the time. It's time to take the schools back. So what do you make of some of these things that we're learning about, some of the things that are being uncovered that are happening in the schools? We just learned today. I'll give you this example. We learned today that the Oxford family, the families of a couple of the victims in the Oxford, Michigan, school shooting there, they're suing the school because the school knew that this young man was troubled. He had issues, and they kept the parents in the dark. What do you make about this trend where these schools are keeping parents in the dark when it comes to everything, including mental health issues?
Well, we need to have a lot more transparency with that and communication back and forth, and allowing the parents to kind of come in and see what's going on. And we're not getting that. I know right now we all agree even when we go to board meetings, it's a one-way street. So they're not letting that stuff, come out, and parents are find out. A lot of parents don't even realize it's going on, and it's horrifying just to see that parents are being left in the dark about this. And it's our children. These are our children. That they don't belong to the state; they belong to us, and so that's why we're fighting for this.
Robert Cribbs, along with Forest Hills for Just Education, one of the candidates there that'll be running, and of course on the ballot when you can vote this November. Robert, what is the biggest issue you think we're facing with education right now?
Well, the biggest issue, I believe, is education. I mean, when my kids go to school back in 2016 and 18, Forest Hills was in the top 10. We have dropped down considerably. And with our community, we should be in the top 5, if not number 1. So education is one of my primary areas. And followed by that is, why don't we have a work study program for the trade? I mean, there's some great jobs out there. Avionics, you go in IT work. They pay really good salaries. And what we always focus on is go to college. So I have actually been talking to different organizations for coming up with a good trade program to put that into Forest Hills. So there are several areas, but those are the 2 I'm really on.
Kevin Donovan, one last question. Are you wrapping things up here? And folks can go to the website, fhforjusteducation.org, to find out more. But if you get elected, what will be some of the first things that you hope to do with these folks on the board to make sure that we get things back on track?
One of the first things I intend to do, and thanks for the question, it's a great one, Justin, is to give parents their voice back. Anyone who's gone to a board meeting, and at Forest Hills now, parents don't even get to speak until all the agenda is complete. We're pushed to the very end. Not only are we limited to a 2-minute, 2-3 minute talk time, you're at the very end. So all the work, all of the voting has already taken place. I'm not even sure how that meets the open meeting law requirements, that parents can't speak up and communicate and voice their concerns with something that might be on an agenda until after it's already voted on and the deal is already done and cut. So Probably the first priority for me is to give parents their voice back, and I think that's where the transparency and the relationship with the community begins.
Fighting the good fight. Kevin Donovan there, Doug Lee, Robert Cribbs, and Holly DeBoer. Forest Hills for Just Education, FH for justeducation.org. Thank you all for taking the time to be here with us today. We appreciate it and continue to keep up the good
Thanks,
work.
Justin.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
God bless. More of these folks. We'll talk to the local folks running in all kinds of races up until November 8th. You can join us. We got a big jam-packed after show coming up.
That's good.
Join us.
Yeah,
Georgia.
that's good.
Yeah.
All the places that
Couldn't
just-
have gotten any better.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Woof.
Wow, that was
Ask
fantastic.
me how to get out of your chair.
Yeah, I probably
So
do.
that was
I was like,
Well,
oh
too
shit, I'm
short.
gonna get the last question. Damn it.
But you know what? But here's the thing that I found out is
All right, folks. Well, I'll tell you what, we're really running today, aren't we? We got just trying to fit it all in, trying to get it all done. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for sharing the show today. We know people need to see these things. By the way, it's not just Forest Hills, but we have various different schools and school systems all over across the board. They're stepping up. People are stepping up. They want to make a difference. We're going to continue talking to those folks and county commissions and folks all over the state. In fact, all over the country, we're seeing these things happen. So it's important. We salute those folks for stepping up. I'm going to click a couple of buttons and we will be live on the air. Stand by. Welcome into the after show. It is the show after the show. That's why we call it the after show. See what we did there? Very creative. Yes. Very to the point. I always appreciate you joining us today as we just went through the fastest hour in radio. We've only got an hour. It's really about 40 minutes or so when you get all the news and commercials in it together. So it's just not a lot of time to get through it all, but we do our best. That's why we started this after show. People asked for more. They demanded it, in fact. We need more. I said, why not? Let's give the people what they want. Finally, first and foremost, it's quite a policy. So we appreciate you being here with us today. Science deniers on the left. We're going to get into the facts of the science deniers. One of the funniest 60-minute spoofs I've seen in a long time. The View and their racist views. Tucker and the Truth on the Jab. And much, much more. Got a lot to get to this morning. First, I want to thank the folks at PatriotSwitch.com helping us with this program today, making it all possible. When you support the folks at Patriot Switch who are helping switch from all the woke conglomerates, the big box stores, the people that think it's okay to push this garbage on your kids and everywhere else, the fake news funders, you make the switch. You're making the switch to mom and pops. You're making a switch to average Americans, people that are able to feed their families because these folks employ Americans right here back at home, not other places, to produce what they produce on a daily basis. Everything that you and I use from when we get up in the morning to when we go to bed at night. I got to tell you, we vote with our dollars, whether we realize it or not. We got to put the dollars that we have to use. Patriot owned, family owned, folks who are never going to sell out. PatriotSwitch.com. When you make the switch, you'll be supporting them. You'll be supporting this program as well. When you go there, type in your name, your number, your email, and then a patriot like me will get in touch with you, somebody that's maybe just like you, that's walk you through what we're doing and show you how you can make a difference with us together. PatriotSwitch.com. That's PatriotSwitch.com. PatriotSwitch.com. Thank you to those folks. So, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but Stacey Abrams is a science denier. Well, I mean, that's what they called every one of us who had questions. But, you know, we have been called some of the craziest names. And she gets up on stage and says something that is almost, it's lunacy. It is borderline some of the looniest stuff maybe you've ever heard. And instead of telling you exactly what it was, because it's kind of out there, I'm just going to let her do it for you. She's talking at some sort of conference. Of course, she's running for governor in Georgia. She's talking at some sort of conference, and she admits she doesn't believe the science, folks.
There is no such thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks.
She says there's no such thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks.
It is a manufactured sound.
She says it's a manufactured sound
designed to convince people that men have the right to take control of a woman's body away from her.
Now, watch the panel around her. She says it's a manufactured sound designed to allow men to feel like they can take control of a woman's body. Now, there are people nodding their head in agreement with her. I wonder if they ever moments later realized, oh goodness, what did I just agree to? Did I hear that? Did I hear exactly what she just science denier Stacey Abrams?
It's no
Watch
such
the video.
thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks. It is a manufactured sound designed to convince people that men have the right to take control of a woman's body away from her. There is no such thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks. It is.
I just don't know, folks. This is like a gift right here. You don't remember the science deniers? Remember all the things that they used to, climate denier, election denier? Stacey Abrams is a science denier. I the left thought they owned the science. And not to mention that she's completely wrong in so many different ways. If you're a parent, you've ever had that appointment, you know how important they are. You go, your first appointment, you hear that heartbeat. It is incredible. It's a miracle. It's literally a miracle. You know, I can't really put it into words. I try. We know someone close to us who just went through something very similar at 6 weeks. They've been desperately trying to get pregnant at 6 weeks. They went to the doctor and they heard that sound for the first time. Can you imagine what that sound was? The music to their ears. Tell them that that's some sort of manufactured conspiracy theory. That's some sort of manufactured scheme. You know, for men, you know, to have control over your body as a woman. Let Stacey Abrams, let her know. I think maybe I ought to send her one of these. What do you think? Do you think I ought to send her one of these tinfoil hats? Hey, Stacey, you science denier. By the way, you know why I make all these, right? In the shirt, I need new conspiracy theories. It's because we're constantly being targeted. Anybody who thinks with critical thinking skills and common sense is called a conspiracy theorist. CT, critical thinking. I call this the critical thinking cap, the tinfoil hat. Both available, by the way, at justinbarclay.com in the store. But we got called all kinds of names and continue to be called all kinds of names just for questioning narratives, just for questioning the insanity of some of the things that they talk about. Now, I have yet to see, maybe I'm wrong here, but as Twitter Let me see. Is this a Twitter? No, they haven't slapped a. I don't see. There's no warning sign on this. Let's put it on Twitter. No, no warning sign. There's no, because this is, this is dangerous disinformation about medical science and medical issues. This is dangerous disinformation. I'm sure Twitter is going to be getting down to this. I'm sure they're bored. The rest of them, yes, I'm sure. It's just a matter of time. No, nothing. They haven't blocked us from being shared or anything like that. No, no. They're allowing for the spread and the dissemination of disinformation. Dangerous science denying Democrats. They're dangerous to democracy, folks. Dangerous to democracy. Now you know where the real threats are. Speaking of dangers to democracy, we get the border overflowing on a daily basis. We have issues happening here. And I happened to catch this in a report, CNN on Espanol. I'll get the newsletters. I'll go online and look at not just the publications, the people I agree with. I want to see it all. And from CNN, they've got a little newsletter that I'll gather information from time to time. How about this from CNN? Today, the government of Nicaragua pulled our television signal, denying Nicaraguans news and information from our television network, which they relied upon for 25 years. CNN Espanol, is issuing a statement here after the government of Nicaragua abruptly took CNN off the air shortly after 10 p.m. local time on Wednesday. In a recent month, CNN on Espanol has reported on examples of repression by the country's government under the fifth-term president, Daniel Ortega, while the government has not explained why it removed. Now, let me ask you, because I see they're going in after this guy, and they say, okay, he's a big problem. He may be. I don't know the full story of what's happening in Nicaragua. What I will say, isn't this interesting? We're wondering, how are all these people hearing about? How will they know that the borders are wide open? Could it possibly be that CNN an Espanol is out there busy delivering that message to these Latin American countries? Now, wait a minute. Stacy, come on back in here. Get your hat back on with me. Let's wear them proudly together. Is it possible that they're working behind the scenes to spread the message? Pop says, nothing to see at the southern border, son. Just move along. Move right along. Speaking of CNN, now I just don't. Stacy is going to lose it with this. I don't know how they justify this. But CNN is admitting it. It's just wild. Fetuses smile. In the womb, fetuses smile for carrots but grimace over kale, according to a new study. There's the smile. Whoops. In the womb of a fetus, they call it. This would be a baby. Anyone else using common sense and terminology that, the rest of us can understand. This is a baby inside his mother's womb, or her mother's womb, smiling because it was fed carrots. It's a 4D scan. And it shows the laughter face reaction after being exposed to the carrot flavor. CNN goes on to say, while it's known that some children are not huge fans of greens, a new study suggests that such dietary preferences could come about before they're even born. Does somebody want to tell them? We were just told just a moment ago from Stacey Abrams that these 6-week-old babies don't even have heartbeats. Who's going to tell her? Now, this is far from 6 weeks, but at this age, there are places in the United States, in fact, Michigan will be one of them, if the new proposal moves through. I think is that Prop 3? Yeah, the reproductive freedom for all, which means you can kill your baby whenever you want to. Radical late-term abortions, radical extreme. The parents of children don't have to be informed. There's no consent on radical extreme medical procedures done to kids, including gender mutilations, things like that. This little miracle smiling inside of his mom's tummy. And they wanted to do a study. Doctors said they decided they want to understand the fetal abilities, taste, smell in the womb, things like that. We're told they don't even feel pain sometimes by these evil folks who want to propagate this lie. The findings show that fetuses in the last 3 months of pregnancies are mature enough to distinguish different tastes transferred from the maternal diet. Well, I know because our little girl was born just before the last 3 months, and I got to hold her at 27 weeks. I got to see. It was a glimpse into the miracle that God is doing inside the mother's womb, knitting them together. And you know what? The Bible says he knew us even before then. Does CNN even realize what they're doing? Do they realize what they're saying? Somebody better let them know. Somebody better give them an update. Trump has sat down with Biden. Can't make this up unless we did, which in fact I didn't do, but somebody did. They have taken a 60 minutes interview, both actually, one with Trump and one with Biden, and they've spliced them together. And what you get, this result, is one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. This will be up on the stack today, so you'll be able to grab the link and share it. But here it is, one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. Biden and Trump sitting down together.
We created the greatest economy in the history of our country.
Well, first of all, let's put this in perspective.
The unemployment numbers for African Americans, for Asian Americans, for Hispanic Americans, virtually every number was the best.
Inflation rate month to month was just an inch.
We had the best stock market price ever.
I got that. But guess what we are? We're in a position where for the last several months it hasn't spiked.
You know what? She deleted 33,000 emails.
How that could possibly happen. How anyone could be that irresponsible. And I thought, what data was in there that may compromise sources and methods? By that I mean names of people who helped, or et cetera. And it's just totally irresponsible.
I think it's disgraceful what she's done.
I mean, honest to God, that's all I think.
The biggest scandal was when they spied on my campaign.
I haven't, look.
They spied on my campaign, they got caught.
Don't.
And then they went much further than that, and they got caught.
Yes.
It was our Justice Department.
Yes.
It was Obama and Biden.
It's wrong.
It's wrong.
It's wrong. So wrong.
I think what happened was disgraceful. Should never have happened.
Think about that.
Should never have happened.
Think of how that has changed everything.
What kind of ice cream? What flavor ice cream do you have?
You think I would tell you if I knew exactly what it would be? Of course I'm not going to tell you.
You just come in here with that negative attitude.
And it's much too early to make that kind of decision.
And when I finish, this country will be in a position like it hasn't been maybe ever.
I'm more optimistic than I've been in a long time.
There you have it. I don't know. I don't know why I get such a kick out of stuff like that. But you know what, folks? We got to laugh. If we don't laugh, we're going to cry. I choose a little bit of laughter to deal with some of these things we got to deal with on a daily basis. We've got to stay encouraged. You don't want to be too discouraged because that's what they want you to do. They want you to feel hopeless. They want you to feel helpless. They want you to feel like there's nothing you can do. But that's just not the case. Earlier today in a Runner Report, from the high priest to health himself, St. Anthony of Wuhan, I gave you the latest, the truth. In fact, Fauci knew it. He knew it all along. It's problematic. Could be anyway if the truth got out, wouldn't it? Fauci says they knew it all along, that the lockdowns would have collateral negative consequences on school children. He and Whitmer knew it all along, and yet they did it. He and Whitmer locked this state down. He locked the country down in ways. Mask the kids up, force people to take jabs. And yet he said, no, we knew there would be negative consequences, collateral negative consequences. In other words, and isn't that why you shouldn't be making those decisions? He and all of these white coat wearing wackos, they are in an advisory role. They are meant merely just to advise the president and his staff or the people in power, whoever it might be, your governor in your state. They're meant to advise. They are not given the power to make decisions on what can happen. Well, like the CDC tried to tell me they didn't have to pay rent. But they made these choices, yes, Erica points out in the chat, for the greater good. They made these choices for the greater good. And they knew it, yet they knew it. They knew it would happen. And I remember having conversations with their health department director here in King County. I remember having these conversations. But we know that there's possibly something that could go wrong here. We know that there could be an issue here. We know that this might affect, in some ways, these kids with the masking, the mental health issues, and issues physically with breathing and whatnot. We know why are we mandating these things? We know that people themselves, like adults, can't even put masks on. They've not been trained and not. Yeah, well, we know. Yeah, and they're just hemming and hawing around it. That they never faced up to the fact it was true. He admitted it. The Atlantic Festival in a conversation with the Atlantic editor Ross Anderson in front of, I'm sure, a friendly room full of Fauci fanatics. Yeah. Fauci fanatics. Oof. I just saw that report. Sherry Dow futures were officially lower. And when Biden took office, still falling, currently at 29,665. Make that 29,648 now. Down almost 430 points today. That's the latest from CNBC here. Yep. That could be problematic. Am I right? John, do I have an event? No, I do not have an event at Muskegon at the Barclay Place Event Center today. I don't, but Tudor does. Donald Trump Jr. does. And so does Christina Caramo, Matt DePerno, and John Gibbs is going to be there. I won't be there. I've got something else. I got a conflict in my schedule, but it's going to be a heck of an event. We talked about that earlier today. Muskegon County GOP, they put on some wonderful events. You may want to go check that out. I put links up, of course, shared that over on my my Facebook page as well. People are still wearing masks. It blows me away. Oh, John, I get it. It has your name in it. Yeah, I get it. I talked about that earlier. I get $1 from the parking. That's about it. I'm kidding. I don't get anything. I don't think there's a relation there, but I don't know. I don't think so. Certainly none that I know of. And none with a bank. Well, that would be nice too, wouldn't it? You know what else they must have known all along? Tucker talking about it last night. He went hard. I'm going to play a little bit of this. I don't know how much I can play the whole thing, but I'm going to play a little bit of it. Tucker went in hard last night on the incidence of kids and the rise in heart conditions post-jab. These are kids who've been jabbed. The rise in heart problems for kids who have gotten the Fauci ouchie, the hokey pokey. This is it. Take a listen. This is disturbing.
Vaccine. And in some people who received it, there appears to be serious heart damage, far more than the experts thought would occur. The Lancet just surveyed young people ages 12 to 29 who suffered from myocarditis, heart damage, after taking the COVID shot. According to the Lancet, 90 days after myocarditis symptoms emerged, roughly 26% of young people who surveyed still needed daily medication because their hearts were so damaged. 20% said they had problems with their daily activities. 30% said they experienced pain. How will they be at age 60, you wonder? And of course, you know the answer. Hospitals were perfectly aware of this, and they're warning children about it. This is a new advertisement from New York Presbyterian Hospital. Watch.
I've been into fashion since I can remember. But one day I had a stomach ache so bad I didn't want to do anything. The team at New York Presbyterian said it was actually my heart. It was severely swollen, something called myocarditis. But doctors gave me medicines and used machines to control my heartbeat. They saved me. So now I can become the next great fashion designer.
Severe heart damage in otherwise healthy children? Oh, yeah, we've always had that. No, we haven't, actually. And Dr. Marty Makary was virtually alone in the medical community when he warned about the risks of this. He warned for months. In March, he wrote to the CDC and said, you've got a duty to, quote, rigorously study the long-term effects of vaccine-induced myocarditis. He was not celebrated for this. Of course, he was attacked, as always. Dr. Makary is a professor at Johns Hopkins and joins us tonight. Doctor, thanks so much for coming on and for sounding the call early. Is the idea going to be this is totally normal? It's always been this way?
Well, they famously downplayed it. The CDC director last year said if we vaccinate 1 million children, there might be 30 or 40 cases of mild myocarditis. And they said if you get myocarditis from COVID, that's worse or happens at a higher rate. But that's not true. The studies have come out. Europe reacted by banning the Moderna vaccine altogether in young people in many parts of Europe, and everybody under 30, and in other places, everybody under 40. The tragedy that we're now learning that there's significant heart damage, 31% of people having physical activity restrictions. The Seattle study, that 63% of children after myocarditis had evidence of heart swelling months down the road on MRI. So we were playing with fire. We didn't know what we were dealing with. They undercounted the complication rate, making the vaccine look safer than it really was, overcounting cases in young people and hospitalizations, making the COVID infection look more dangerous than it really was. And the tragedy is that we could have saved children from myocarditis. We could have protected this nation's children from myocarditis. We could have spaced out the vaccine instead of that narrow 3-week interval. No vaccine's given 3 weeks apart, and the myocarditis happens after the second dose.
Maybe we don't give it to them at all.
Could have let parents say, you know, if you only feel comfortable with 1 dose, it's okay to stop there. Instead, we put a gun to their head saying you got to come back in 3 weeks, and if you don't agree, you're in deep trouble. And we could have been honest about the risk. In healthy children, that risk is so low, it's lower than the risk of the vaccine.
The continued truth coming to light of what is really happening, what has been happening. And as Fauci said it earlier, they knew it all along. He knew it all along. And there you have it, folks. Over on The View, Sonny Hostin is, I guess, out calling Nikki Haley some sort of names, making some sort of racist comments. Now, I've got to give a trigger warning. Some may be watching while they're eating breakfast. And I want to warn you, you're going to hear/see clips from The View, which could be very disturbing to some audiences. This is a trigger word. Consider yourself warned.
Nikki Haley was an incredibly effective governor of South Carolina.
There are some of us that can be chameleons and decide not to embrace our ethnicity so that we can pass.
Sonny, I don't think that's fair.
You
go by a different name. Yeah,
I didn't want to be the one to say it. But most Americans can't pronounce Asuncion because of the undereducation.
Nikki Haley was.
So Sonny is out there projecting. Now, as a matter of fact, you ever notice this is what Democrats do? This is what folks on the left do. She's out there projecting, though, that Nikki Haley's name. She goes by Nikki because she just doesn't want to be known as having a different ethnicity. Their accusations are their confessions, folks. Sonny, whose real name isn't Sonny, on The View apparently saying that Nikki Haley is doing that. Nikki Haley responding back with a tweet. Thanks for your concern. It's racist of you to judge my name. Nikki is an Indian name and is on my birth certificate, and I'm proud of that. What's sad is the left's hypocrisy towards conservative minorities. By the way, last I checked, Sonny isn't your birth name. Oh, gosh, they're revealing themselves. They can't help it. Every day they reveal themselves even more so. And it is. It is. Because they always accuse us of being racist, but in fact, they are the ones who are racist. Any reasonable person can see this. They're so fixated on race and things like that because they are, in fact, racist.
What is her real name again? There's some of us that can be chameleons and decide not to embrace our ethnicity so that we can pass.
Sonny, I don't think that's fair.
You
go by a different name. Yeah.
Wow, she really is that racially ignorant. And your response?
You know, it's not the first time, and it won't be the last time that the hosts at The View come after me or that liberals come after me in whatever way. They can't stand the fact that a minority female would be a conservative Republican. You know, when I ran and won governor, a reporter went to a high-ranking African-American Democrat female and said, how do you feel that South Carolina now has their first minority governor? And she said, Nikki Haley's not a minority. She's just a conservative with a tan. So you look at what Sonny Hoskins does, and, you know, the idea that, no, Sonny is not her name. Nikki is my name. It is on my birth certificate. It is an Indian name, and I embrace my Indian heritage. I have written 2 books that describe the struggles that my family had, what it was like growing up. But the idea that they can do this, you're not going to see her fired from that show. We're not even going to see an apology from that show because they let liberals say that about conservative Republican minorities all the time. But yet nothing is done. Had this been said about a Democrat, all hell would have broken loose.
There you have it, folks. Well, the truth will set you free. We're seeing more and more of it every single day. They're being sort of exposed, aren't they? It's being revealed. The revelation continues. All right, I've got to talk about this. We talked about it last night. We talked about it yesterday on the air, but last night, if you are part of the locals conversation, we're doing a lot of this stuff on locals. You got to check it out. There's exclusive content. You can become a member for free, but you can also become a supporter and help support. Just $7 a month helps make that happen. Yesterday, Deanne helped become an annual supporter. In fact, got 2 months free along with Randy. We appreciate this support. It helps go. It really helps go to make this show possible, make the things that we want to do the possible on a daily basis. And your support is, well, it means the world to us. I can tell you that much. And when I say us, I mean me and my mouse in my pocket, because it's not like a big operation here, folks. It's me. I would like to bring some other people in to help out and help spread the word a little bit. And that's kind of what we're working towards. So that being said, we had a great conversation about what's going to happen on September 24th. Now, I played this yesterday. I don't know. We talked a little bit about it. I'm only bringing it up to say it again because I heard it again, and I just want to put it out there. But what is going to happen on September 24th? People are freaking out. I get it. I understand. So much craziness we've seen over the past several years. But we've been hit with dates here, there, and everywhere about possibilities and things that could happen. Diane, Whoopi Goldberg is a fake name. Yes, it is. It's another great point. Oh, all right. September 24th in the German parliament. This is how this all got started. Some guy came up and said, it's going to be a day we remember the history of the world, yada, yada, yada. Listen.
Colleagues,
Dieser 24. September
this
2022
24th of September 2022 is going to be a day which we will remember, and we're going to say about this day in the future that I will remember where I was.
So they say you're going to remember where you were. You'll remember where you were September 24th. All right, I'll put the hat back on. Stand by. The answer is I don't know. Nobody really knows. There's questions about all of this, but there is some interesting prophetic things that are happening. The 24th, right, is the end of the 7-year. It's the end of the 7-year. Well, I'm going to butcher this. I know I'm going to butcher this, but I've been watching stuff about this. It is the end of the 25th is the beginning of what is it? Is it Feast of Trumpets? Is that what that is? Hang on, let me look this up. I went through this last night. And I'm trying to Feast of Trumpets 2022. When is Feast of Trumpets? Okay, what date is that? September 25th. In 2022, Rosh Hashanah will begin at sundown on September 25th and end at sundown on September. So there's another issue with the lineup of these days. It's the Jewish New Year, right? The beginning of the Jewish New Year. That's right. So we ending a year on September 24th. There's questions about that. There's questions about the temple being rebuilt in Israel. There's this red heifer thing going on. I realize I'm taking you down the rabbit hole to tell you all of this. Oh no. Steve said, call Shelly. She'll give the lowdown. I want to tell you this because this is what's on my heart more than anything. No matter what happens, and there's talk about the digital currency switch over and all this other stuff. Maybe that is when this is going to occur. I'm just here to tell you folks that no matter what happens, God is still on the throne. I'm only addressing this because it's Friday. It's the end of the week. And I know that tomorrow is the 24th and there's a lot of anxiety for me. So I just want you to know that no matter what, God is still on the throne.
WROL.
On Rumble on his channel has the Simpsons thing up. All right, let's watch this real quick. I'll play a little bit of this.
WROL. It means without the rule of law, anarchy, the end of civilization, coming soon to an America near you.
America can't collapse. We're as powerful as ancient Rome.
Homer, meet the Springfield Preppers. What would you do in the case of an EMP?
Electromagnetic pulse.
A burst of radiation that knocks out every electrical system in the country.
Impending doom.
What you reading, Dad?
Honey, everything's fine. There's nothing to worry about.
When things go south, the sheeple will clean out every supermarket in town.
Typical sheeple. So, what have you learned so far from our post-apocalyptic movie marathon?
Guys who call themselves preacher or deacon are very bad. Water is money, unless gasoline is money, and even though lots of things are razor sharp, no one ever shaves.
Hollywood has taught you well, my son.
Here it is, Homer. The Springfield Preppers' top-secret bug-out retreat.
Wow! Your end of the world is better than my during the world.
Now, this whole episode, I'm showing you highlights from this. Apparently, that's Clay's got on his channel on Rumble. This whole show was like the end of the world. It was about preppers, etc. But wait a second, you've got to see this because I don't. It's right in front of your face, and you probably don't see it. Look at the top here. Do you see this? This is The Simpsons, season 24, episode 9. 9/24. Tomorrow's date. Anybody picking your jaw off the floor yet? Again, folks, I'm just here to tell you this, and I mean it, because this is where I have gotten to. Okay, I've gotten to this point, and yet I am really. This is. I'm good with it. No matter what happens, God is still on the throne, and I keep hearing more than anything. Keep your eyes on Jesus. That's what I keep hearing. That's my faith. Keep your eyes on Jesus. No matter what happens, stay in a word. You'll have discernment. You'll be able to hear from the Holy Spirit. You'll be able to have all the information, the knowledge that you need to get through get through it all with joy. Oh, Janine, there's been a lot of these like sort of Simpsons, like they've predicted a lot of things. Let's just put it that way. Better get some real tinfoil, Terry said. I need new conspiracy theories. All of mine have come true. Yes, keep your eyes on Jesus, not Bart, Patty said. Ay, caramba. There you have it. Don't have a cow, man. That's what Bart used to say, right? Or a red heifer. Spotless red heifer. There you have it. All right, lots to. We're going to talk tomorrow. We'll have a not apocalypse party. How about that? At some point, I'll go live over on Locals. I saw somebody mention that about the $70. You don't have to pay $70 to come over to Locals. It's free to come over to Locals. That $70 is just an annual membership. They have a 70, and by the way, you get 2 months free with that. Become a supporter. They have a $7 a month support that you could. It's very affordable if you want, but you don't have to feel obligated to do that at all. Don't feel obligated to do that. Just do it if you feel like you can and you want to. That's all this is. So please, I just want you to know, don't put yourself in any, binds or anything like that. You can still become a member and hang out with us and see all the exclusive stuff. There are special things for supporters over there. JustinBarclay.com/locals. Thanks again, folks. I appreciate your support. God bless.